Good evening and almost Shabbat Shalom. It is my privilege to invite our bat mitzvah for tomorrow morning, Sophie, together with her parents, Jeremy and Jennifer, and her brother, Aaron, to light Shabbat candles. The text is on page 2. Amen. Shabbat Shalom, and thank you. Yesher Koach. We turn to page 24, Shalom Alechem.
Shalom Alechem, Malachi Hasharet, Malachi Elyon, Mimelech Malachi HaMelachim, Mimelech Malachi HaMelachim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu, Rochem L'Shalom, Malachi Hashalom, Malachi Elyon, Mimelech Malachi HaMelachim, Mimelech Malachi HaMelachim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu, Archuni L'Shalom, Malachi Hashalom, Malachi Elyon, Mimelech Malachi HaMelachim, Mimelech Malachi HaMelachim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu, Tzedchem L'Shalom, Malachi Hashalom, Malachi Elyon, Mimelech Malachi HaMelachim, Mimelech Malachi HaMelachim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu.
We continue with Kabbalat Shabbat on page 13. This is 4 lines up from the bottom, Ya'aloz Sadai.
Ya'aloz Sadai, bechol asher bo Ya'aloz Sadai. Ay, 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 Ya'aloz Sadai, bechol asher bo Ya'aloz Sadai. Ay, 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 az yiranenu kol atzei ya'ad, 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 Ya'aloz Sadai, bechol asher bo Ya'aloz Sadai. Ay, 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 Ya'aloz Sadai, bechol asher bo Ya'aloz Sadai. Ay, 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 az yiranenu kol atzei ya'ad, 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 Ya'aloz Sadai. Sadai. Ay, 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 ay.
Continuing on page 17 from Psalm 99, Romamu, so it's the last paragraph of the Hebrew.
Romemu, Romemu, Romemu Adonai Eloheinu, והשתחוו לחדום רגליו קדוש הוא. רוממו, רוממו, רוממו אדוני אלוהינו, והשתחוו להקדשו, כי קדוש אדוני אלוהינו, כי קדוש אדוני אלוהינו. רוממו, רוממו, רוממו אדוני אלוהינו, והשתחוו לאדום רגליו קדוש הוא. רוממו, רוממו, רוממו אדוני אלוהינו, והשתחוו להר קודשו, כי קדוש אדוני אלוהינו, כי קדוש אדוני אלוהינו.
We turn now to Lecha Dodi on page 20, and we sing paragraphs 1, 2, 5, and 9. This is our way of greeting the Shabbat presence. So when we get to verse 9, we stand up and face towards the door, as if to greet the Shabbat presence.
לך דודי לקראת כלה, בני שבת נחבלה. לך דודי לקראת כלה, בני שבת נקבלה. שמור וזכור בדיבור אחד, השמיענו אל המיוחד. אדוני אחד ושמו אחד, לשם התפארת ולתהילה. לך דודי לקראת כלה, בני שבת נקבלה. לך דודי לקראת כלה, בני שבת נקבלה. לקראת שבת לכו ונלכה, כי היא מקור הברכה. נראש מקדם נסוכה, סוף מעשה במחשבה תחילה. לך דודי לקראת כלה, בני שבת נקבלה. לך דודי לקראת כלה, בני שבת נקבלה. התעוררי, התעוררי, כי באורך קומי אורי. אורי אורי שיר דברי, כבוד אדוני עלייך נגלה. לך דודי לקראת כלה, בני שבת נקבלה. לך דודי לקראת כלה, בני שבת נקבלה. בואי ושלום את תרד בעלה, גם בשמחה ובצהלה. תוך אמוני עם סגולה, בואי חלה, בואי חלה. לך דודי לקראת כלה, בני שבת נקבלה. לך דודי לקראת כלה, בני שבת נקבלה.
Before you're seated, please take a moment to wish one another Shabbat Shalom. You can actually even move out of your row to do that. We will continue now on page 23. This is from Psalm, oh, actually, it's on, yeah, it is 23. So it's from the second paragraph, it's the fourth line down. Miklot Maim Rabim.
Mikolot Mayim Rabim Adirim Mishpareim Mikolot Mayim Rabim Adirim Mishpareim Adir Bamarom Adonai Adir Bamarom Adonai Adir Bamarom Adonai Adir Bamarom Adonai Mikolot Mayim Rabim Adirim Mishpareim Mikolot Mayim Rabim Adirim Mishpareim Adir Bamarom Adonai Adir Bamarom Adonai Adir Bamarom Adonai Adir Bamarom Adonai Mikolot Mayim Rabim Adirim Mishpareim Mikolot Mayim Rabim Adir Mishpareim Adir Bamarom Adonai Adir Bamarom Adonai Adir Bamarom Adonai Adir Bamarom Adonai.
Page 26, Chetzi Kaddish. We conclude Kabbalat Shabbat.
יתגדל ויתקדש מרבה ועלמד יברח ידותה וימליך מלכותה וחייכון ויומכון ובחית כל בית ישראל בגלה בגלה ובזמן קריב אמרו אמן יהי שמי רבה מבורך לעולם ולעולמי עלמיה יתברך וישתבח ויתפאר ויתרומם ויתנשא ויתהדר ויתעלה ויתהלל שמד וקדשה ברכו לילה ונקע בחטא בשירתו תושבחתה ונחמתה דמירן בעלמה ואמרו
Please rise as you're able for Baruch Hu. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher bidvaro ma'ariv aravim b'chochma poteach sha'arim uvitvuna meshana itim machalif et hazmanim Umisader et hakochavim b'mishmerotehem barakia kirtzono. B'rei yom v'layla golel or mipnei choshech v'choshech mipnei or.
ומעביר יום ומביא לילה, מבדיל בין יום ובין לילה, אדוני צבאות שמו. אל חי וקיים, תמיד ימלוך עלינו לעולם ועד, ברוך אתה אדוני, המעריב הרבים.
Turning the page, we read the first 6 lines together. Everlasting love, you offered your people Israel by teaching us Torah and mitzvot, laws and precepts. Therefore, Adonai, our God, when we lie down and when we rise up, we'll meditate on your laws and your commandments. We will rejoice in your Torah forever.
כי הם חיינו ואורך ימינו, והם נהגי יומם ולילה. ואהבתך אל תסיר ממנו לעולמים, ברוך אתה אדוני, אוהב עמו ישראל. שמע ישראל, אדוני
Seated. We'll be led by Sophie Kahn, our bat mitzvah for tomorrow, and V'ahavta.
V'ahavta et Adonai Elohecha b'chol levavcha u'v'chol nafshecha u'v'chol me'odecha v'chayu hadvarim ha'ele asher anochi mitzavecha hayom alevavecha v'shinantam lefanecha v'dibarta bam v'shivtecha b'veitecha uvlevtecha v'aderech uv'shochbecha uv'kumecha ukshartam leot al yadecha v'chayu letotafot b'neinecha uktavtam al mezuzot beitecha uvisharecha leman tiskeru v'asitem et kol mitzvotai v'tem kedoshim leloechem ani Adonai Elohechem asher hotzietem me'eretz Mitzrayim liot lachem lelochim ani Adonai Elohechem.
On the top of page 39, we read together, standing on the parted shores of history, we still believe what we were taught before ever we stood at Sinai's foot, that wherever we go, it is eternally Egypt, that there is a better place, a promised land, that the winding way to that promise passes through the wilderness, that there is no way to get from here to there except by joining hands, marching together. Micha Mocha is on page 40.
מי כמוך באלים אדוני, מי כמוך נדר בקודש, נורא תהילות אוסף אלף, נורא תהילות אוסף אלף, מלכותך ראו בניך, בוקע הים לפני משה ומרים, אנו ואמרו אדוני ימלוך לעולם ועד ונאמר כי בד אדוני את יעקב וגלו מיד חזק ממנו ברוך אתה אדוני גל ישראל.
Now on page 42, Hashkivenu, we pay particular attention to the phrase, Ufros alenu Sukkot Shlomacha, and God spreads over us this Sukkot Shalom, a shelter of peace.
השכיבנו אדוני אלוהינו לשלום, לשלום, והעמידנו שומרנו לחיים. ופרוס עלינו סוכת שלומך, ופרוס עלינו סוכת שלומך. Shelter us beneath your wings, O Adonai. Guard us from all harmful things, O Adonai. Keep us safe throughout the night, till we wake with morning's light. Teach us, God, wrong from right. Amen. 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 Amen.
With that image in mind, that sheltering, protecting image, we turn to page 253, Misha Berach. We'll be singing together the first paragraph, and then in the middle, between the two paragraphs, they're sharing the names of members of our community, our family, our friends who are in need of healing. And then continue on with the second paragraph. We ask for Refuah Shlema, the renewal of body, the renewal of spirit. So these are for the people who know, as well as those people throughout the earth who we don't know, or in this evening in need of healing. We begin together in the middle of the page.
Source of strength, who bless the ones before us, help us find the courage to make our lives a blessing, and let us say, Amen.
Tonight we hold in our hearts Ellen Apple, Julie Arnheim, Peggy Boone, Alex Botkin, Jimmy Broff, Jerry Chesson, Chuck Davis, Eileen Davis, Joanne Mandel DeWitt, Stephen Irish, Kate Can, Naum Kaplan, Al Camper, Gary Kinkella, Eitan Klausner, Tony Linder, Paige Lang, Alan Leskold, Sally Littman, Laura Marshak, Hal Mendlowitz, Stephen Nides, Bud Roth, Peter Rosenfeld, Richard David Rothman, Cheryl Sachs Dowling, Stephen Schimmel, Benjamin F. Siegel, Adam Scheffler, Rabbi Jonathan Stein, Jonathan Wind, Kayla Wright, James J.H. Yee, Hinda Sarabat Chana Pearl, Yermatia Shulamit Bat Miriam, Chava Gitel Bat Toiba, Deborah Zients. Are there any other names to Misha Berach tonight? Continue with the second paragraph of Misha Berach.
Bless those in need of healing with refuah shalema, the renewal of body, the
turn back to page 44 at the top of the page and join together in Vashamru.
Shabbat, לעשות את השבת, לדורותם ברית עולם. ביני ובין בני ישראל, אותי לעולם. כי ששת ימים עשה אדוני את השמיים ואת הארץ. ושמרו, ושמרו, בני ישראל, את השבת, ושמרו, ושמרו, בני ישראל, את השבת, ושמרו, ושמרו, בני ישראל, את השבת, ושמרו, ושמרו, בני ישראל, את השבת.
We turn now to Tefillah, which begins on page 46 with a meditation. We'll be continuing on our own silently through the Tefillah, through page 60. You can stand up or sit down, however is comfortable for you, and then we'll join back together on page 62. Please rise as you are able.
Adonai, Sefatai Tiftach, Ufia Yitehilaticha. Adonai, open up my lips, that my mouth may declare your praise. Hiu leratzon imrefi Vehion libi lefanecha Adonai tzuri Adonai tzuri Vegoayu leratzon imrefi Vehion libi lefanecha Adonai tzuri Adonai tzuri Egoali
Story that if you've been around Jewish learning for a long time, you've probably heard, although you may not know that it's connected to Sukkot. If you're new to Jewish learning, or you're young, you may not have heard this story before. So the story is told about King Solomon, he was the builder of the first temple, and he was known for his wisdom, and he was also apparently, from time to time, depressed. One spring day, King Solomon turned to his most trusted servant, whose name was Benaiah, and said, Benaiah, there's a certain ring that I want you to find and bring it to me. I want to wear it for Sukkot, which gives you 6 months to find it. If it exists anywhere on earth, Your Majesty, replied the servant, I will find it and bring it to you. But what makes the ring so special? It has magical powers, answered the king. If a happy person looks at it, they become sad. And if a sad person looks at it, they become happy. Spring passed and then summer, and still Benaiah had no idea where to find this ring or really what it even meant. On the night before Sukkot, because it has to be at the very last minute for these stories, walking in one of the poorest quarters of Jerusalem, he passed by an old merchant who had begun to set out the day's wares on a shabby carpet. Have you by any chance heard of a magic ring that makes the happy wearers forget their joy and the broken-hearted wearer forget their sorrows? Asked Benaiah. He watched the merchant take a plain gold ring from his carpet and engrave something on it. When Benaiah read the words on the ring, his face broke out in a wide smile. That night, the entire city welcomed the holiday of Sukkot with great festivity. Well, my friend, said King Solomon, have you found what I sent you after? To everyone's surprise, Benaiah held up a small gold ring and declared, Here it is, Your Majesty. The jeweler had written 3 Hebrew letters on the gold band, Gimel, Zayin, Yud, which stood for Gam Ze Ya'afor. This too shall pass. Right? So the happy person becomes sad, this too shall pass, and the sad person less sad, Gam Ze Ya'afor. This also will pass. When I was a first-year rabbinic student, one of my classmates had this exact ring, and I didn't know the story, and she used to twirl it around. I'm wondering if she's still wearing it. She's been a rabbi at Temple Emmanuel since ordination many, many years ago in New York. I should ask her if she still has that ring. So she told me that story. It was the first time I heard that story. And there's a place in the old city where they do engraving, and that was what kind of made them famous, because a lot of yeshiva girls would come in on their year in Israel, and they would all want this ring that said Gam Ze Ya'avor. So it became kind of a thing. So that's the origin of the story. So why on Sukkot? Why is this a Sukkot story? Well, Sukkot is all about tensions. the tension between joy and sorrow, between safety and vulnerability, between strength and fragility. On Sukkot, we experience impermanence. None of the symbols of Sukkot are permanent. We replace everything except for the walls of the sukkah every year. So the etrog won't last. None of the parts of the lulav will last. If this were real fruit, it wouldn't last. But it's not allowed to be real fruit because I banned real fruit years ago. And leaves, any of it that's alive, we won't be able to use it next year, right? Everything has to be replaced. Everything other than the walls of the sukkah. So impermanent, we're celebrating this holiday with something that will not last. On Rosh Hashanah and Yom Kippur, we faced our mortality. We recited the Unatana Tokef prayer just a couple days ago. Who will live and who will die? Who will see ripe age and who will not? And the prayer is supposed to make us think, this too shall pass, right? This life will pass. All of these things will pass. Our time is limited. But then on Sukkot, we embody that very idea by building this temporary structure. The festival Sukkot and this sukkah itself illustrate this too shall pass. Gamze Ya'afor. Now there's a custom on Sukkot. If you were with us the other morning, we read from the book of Ecclesiastes from Kohelet. That's a custom to read during Sukkot. Kohelet or Ecclesiastes offers an appropriate way to begin the new year. The book was authored by someone we call Kohelet, which probably or may have been King Solomon. So again, we have the same connection with King Solomon. And unlike the romantic poetry of the Song of Songs, which again was attributed to Solomon, who wrote that in his youth, it's full of love and poetry, or the worldly philosophy of Proverbs, written in his middle age, Ecclesiastes has the melancholy tone that some people, but thankfully not all of us, find in old age. Kohelet tells us that everything is vanity and that in the end there is nothing. There is no pleasure to be had, again, depressed. There is no pleasure to be had, no justice, no joy, no sorrow in this world. Wicked and righteous meet the same fate. As it says, as one came out of his mother's womb, so must he depart, naked as he came with nothing for his toil. At first glance, that seems to be out of sync with Sukkot, which is known as Zman Simchatenu, the time of our rejoicing. However, ironically, by reminding us of just how vulnerable we are and how fragile life really is, we are aware that everything, that life itself, is fleeting, which means, of course, that it is incumbent upon us to savor and celebrate and appreciate each good moment. We want to believe, don't we, that we are safe, that the walls of our home will keep us warm and secure, that our insurance policies will protect our families and our belongings, and that our jobs or businesses will sustain us through all of life's vicissitudes. Yet, as we know from the storms which just devastated vast parts of the South, the stories about people losing their homes and everything they own, we know from these things and from our own experience that permanence, at best, is an illusion. Pragmatically, Sukkot comes to remind us of what is eternal. Things are not eternal, but there are some qualities in the world that are eternal: love, faith, goodness, compassion, justice. You can probably make more to that list. And as long as we have one another, and as long as we have God, we are not alone. So the idea of Sukkot is to enjoy the sukkah as fragile and as frail as it is, because if we were outside and there was a wind, we might lose our sukkah. At the same time, Sukkot is here to tell us to enjoy life, because life is fragile and frail. On Sukkot, we refuse to hide from that truth. Rather, we expose ourselves to life. We go out in a sukkah. We are vulnerable. We embrace life with all its uncertainty. As we listen to Kohelet's voice, Gamze Ya'avor, this too shall pass, We acknowledge that we cannot know what tomorrow will bring. We can begin the new year by acknowledging that today is a blessing. Shabbat Shalom. We turn now in our prayer book to page 282. Please rise as you are able for Aleinu.
עלינו לשבח לאדון הכל, לתת גדולה יוצא בראשית, שלא עשנו כגויי הארצות, ולא שמנו כמשפחת האדמה, שלא שם חלקנו כהם, וגורלנו ככל המונם, ואנחנו קוראים ומשתחווים ומודים לפני מלך מלכי המלכים הקדוש ברוך הוא, ונאמר והיה אדוני למלך על כל הארץ ביום ההוא יהיה אדוני אחד ושמו אחד.
Kaddish is on page 294. Our thoughts turn to those who have departed this earth, our own loved ones, those whom our friends and neighbors have lost, the martyrs of our people whose graves are unmarked, and all those whose lives have been a blessing to humanity. As we remember them, we meditate on the meaning of love and loss, of life and death. We think of our loved ones whom death has recently taken from us, those who died within the last 30 days, Ellen Newberg, Rabbi Bert Schumann, who is our friend and teacher, Stephen Simon, who's a loved one of Dana Cohen, and Elaine Weisberg, the sister of Martin Goldhaber, and a friend of many, many. Remember also those who died at this season, years past, whose yahrzeit we observe on this Shabbat: Nancy G. Berkowitz, Jeanette Cantor, Abe Klateman, Daniel Davis, Todd Dobkin, Russell Feldman, Joseph Gold, David M. Harrison Jr., Hyman Katz, Ann Littman, Esther Miller Marcus, Fannie Meth, Mary J. Paradise, Corinne Pickus, Mary Jo Proviano, Harriet C. Russlander, Dr. Gilmore M. Sains Jr., Rebecca Weisberg Siegel, Janet Roth Shear, Edward Howard Slagle, Samuel Sugarman, Roxine M. Weinthal, Stephen Wertkin, Milton Wertzman. Is there anyone else to remember for Kaddish tonight? Zichronam livracha, may all their memories be for blessing. Yitgadal v'yitkadash shemei rabbah, v'yalma divrach urtei v'yamlich malchutei, v'chayachon uv'yomechon, uchayei d'chol beit Yisrael, v'galau v'zman kari v'imru amen. Yehei shmei rabbah mavarach l'olam olmei almaya, yitzbarach v'yishtabach v'yitpa'ar v'yitramam v'yitnaseh, v'yitadar v'yitalev v'yitalal shmei d'kudashah birchu. Leila min kol birchata v'shirata, tushbechata v'nechamata, damiran b'alma v'imru amen. Yehei shlama rabba min shmaya, v'chayim aleinu v'al kol Yisrael v'imru amen. Oseh shalom b'mromav, hu yaseh shalom aleinu v'al kol Yisrael v'imru amen. You may be seated. In just a moment, we will be inviting Sophie Kahn to the bima, or actually down there, to lead us in Kiddush and Motzi, and then our oneg will be outside in the sukkah, and to get there, you just go outside the door, outside here, and then right through the Wexler Gallery. Just a couple of other programs that are coming up. On Monday night, our evening is Cider in the Sukkah. It's meant to be a new member event, but really it's open to anyone, because we want to welcome our new members. We have a lot of cider. A lot of cider. On Tuesday, we have Pups in the Hut, which means that you bring your dog to the sukkah, and have some treats. The dogs get some treats. The people get some treats. It's kind of nice to be together. Our Simchat Torah service will be Thursday, October 24th at 10 a.m. That will be they'll be at Temple Sinai. Some of you may have been following in the news that the Hamas leader, Sinwar, was killed this week. Tomorrow morning at Text Study, we're going to be looking at what the texts tell us, what our Jewish texts tell us about the death of our enemies. So that's tomorrow morning at 8:45 if you're interested. I just want, before I congratulate all you, something about the sukkah, this indoor sukkah. For 17 years, it has been the love child, the product of much love and commitment to our congregation by Barbara Broff Goldman and Nina Markovic. They've been doing this for 17 years. This is their last year. They're retiring and they're handing off the project to Laura Veach, who is diligently taking notes on what comes up and what goes down. And also I'd like to make sure to acknowledge all those who work on the sukkah: Dana Cohen, Joan Forscher, Phyllis Klein, Cecilia Rothschild, and Laura Silver-Veach. If you're interested in any of the events of Sukkot or Simchat Torah, they're all on our website. We wish Mazel Tov to Sophie and her family. Tomorrow morning, we'll be joining together at 10 o'clock to accompany you, Sophie, as you become a young Jewish adult. Do we have any announcements? No? All right. Thank you to Luke. And as always, Don and Cantor Glauser and I are always so happy to be with you. All right, Sophie. Page 5. Following Kiddush and Motzi, we'll be singing Mipi El on page 368, or Ein Adir, I think it's called, on page 368. Going to use the knife. Super careful. I'll cut the challah. Ein Adir is on page 328.
Sorry.
328.
328. Here we go.
Kata
Shalom.
Shabbat Shalom.
Moadim l'simcha.